Morning kings and queens, Lynn's here with another art tutorial for you guys. Now, I can't teach you how to be a Bogota-based musical ensemble from Colombia, but I can teach you how to draw Catalina Garcia from Monsieur Perine, and that's what we're doing today. So I like to use Microsoft Paint because it's a free program. I always start off with a 600 by 600 pixel canvas, and I like to use the calligraphy pen tool a lot. I'm also drawing on the XP Pen G640, which I got for pretty cheap online, links in the description. So as always, we're going to get started with the shape of the face here. And I'm also adding in some lines for the cheeks so you can see how much they stand out. And now I'm getting started on the nose. And I'm kind of adding the line on the nose here to kind of show, where the nostrils start. And I'm adding the bridge of the nose. I'm also cleaning up the edges with the eraser tool there. And I'm using the selection tool and resizing the nose because I think I made it a little too small, so I made it a little bigger there. And I'm moving it around to make sure it's, right centered in the face. You always want to have like a reference photo next to you while you're doing your drawing so you can kind of make sure the proportions are all correct. And I didn't like how the sides of the temples were looking right there, so I decided to erase it. And I made some new ones here. I think it looks a little better, the shape of her head. And I'm adding a line here for the hairline just to remember where it is for the future. I'm not going to use that for the final one. And I'm getting started on the lips now. Oh yeah, so in my last video, I was telling you guys about how I had this girl who had been stalking me and I ended up in the hospital with a head injury. If you want to hear more about that, go check out my Megan Trainor art tutorial. But anyway, so yeah, I ended up, went to the hospital to get my head looked at to make sure I didn't have any serious damage done or anything. So I was definitely still feeling dizzy, and they said I was showing some signs of a concussion. So the nurses said they were going to send in a neurologist to look at my brain injury and make sure I'm all okay. Alright, so we got the lips done here. I'm using the eraser tool to kind of clean up the edges here. I'm adding that little opening for the middle of the lips there. And moving the lips to the center, and now I'm putting in the lines for the sides of the mouth and the cheek. And I put that little freckle she has there on the side of her face. You want to try to make sure it's, whoever you're drawing, you want to get little things like that accurate. And now I'm starting to draw the eyes. I didn't like how that one turned out, so I erased it. I think this one looks good. And, if you get a good eye drawn, feel free to copy and paste it over so you can have two symmetrical eyes. No shame in that. I do it all the time. Maybe just because I'm trash. Alright, so I'm using the select tool to kind of move around the features of the face. I want to make sure everything looks like it's in the right place. Moving around the chin, make sure it looks proper. And I'm cleaning up the edges with the eraser tool. And now I'm starting to add in the eyelashes on the eyes. Okay, so yeah, back to my story. So I'm just waiting in my room, and the doctor finally comes in, and I kid you not, it's the same girl who's been stalking me this whole week. She really had the audacity to dress up as a doctor and sneak in the hospital just to get at me. And on top of that, I'm in a vulnerable state, so I just kind of give up at this point. I'm like, okay, you got me cornered. If you're going to kill me, just make it quick and painless, Alright, so I'm resizing the eyes, making them a little bigger because I drew them a little small. And I'm moving them around, making sure they're in the right spot. And now I'm getting started on the eyebrows. Feel free to just kind of draw them in a little messy with the calligraphy tool, and then, you can fill them in or clean up the edges there with the eraser tool later on. Sometimes to get like a perfect shape, I'll use the pencil tool here just with the white color and then clean up the rest with the eraser tool. I'm also adding some lines on the edges of the eyebrows to show, how it's not perfect. I also decided to make that freckle a little smaller. It was looking a little big. Alright, so the face is looking pretty good. So now we're going to erase that, hairline reference, mostly to just show how tall I wanted the forehead. And now we're going to actually start drawing in the hair. All right, so back to my story. So the doctor who walked in, who definitely looked like my stalker, she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Yo, don't play dumb. You've been stalking me all week. I seen you downtown. I seen you at the grocery store. I seen you moving in next to me, and now you here." And she checked my sheet with all my information on it, and she was like, "Are you Lens?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "And your last name's Makes Art?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's me." And she said, "Oh, you must be talking about my twin sister." I'm like, "Huh?" All right, so we're filling out the hair here. Feel free to, just kind of make it a black blob and then, fill in the edges to make it look a little more accurate. So we're trying to get some nice curls on the hair. You could always use the eraser tool to kind of make sure that the curves on the hair look proper. Filling it out more. I got, where the hair parts in the top right. Got some lines leading to the roots of the hair. Filling this out. Yeah, so anyways, back to the story. So apparently this doctor had a twin sister, and she said her sister is a huge fan of my YouTube channel and told me she'd seen me around town recently and was trying to get my autograph, but I kept running away. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that still don't explain her following me in the grocery store or moving in right next door to me." And she was like, "Oh no, she works at the grocery store, and that was actually, her grandma's apartment next door to me, and she was just helping her move in." And I was like, "Oh, I guess I was wrong." And I was like, "So you're not going to kill me?" And she's like, "Nah, I'm not trying to get sued for medical malpractice." All right, so we're adding some lines in the hair on the sides here to make it look a little more accurate. It's not perfect. And moving around the chin here to make sure it's not too big. And I'm moving around the mouth with the selection tool to make sure it's in the right place. Yeah, so I guess the whole time I thought this girl was stalking me. I was just being paranoid, and I never actually had a stalker. I just had a big fan. And the doctor was like, "Yo, would you mind signing this piece of paper so I can give you your autograph? I'll pay for your hospital visit if you do." And I was like, "Heck yeah, I could use the help." So I signed it, and she was like, "Cool, we'll get you stitched up and run some tests and make sure your brain's all good." All right, so add in any final details you want to put, and I like to put the name below all my portraits, and I do my coloring in Microsoft Paint 3D if you have Windows 10, and boom, you got a masterpiece. So make sure to add in your watermarks so no one tries to steal your art. If anyone pissed you off this week, tell me about it in the comments below. So long story short, I'm still here in the hospital getting an MRI done. I'll update you guys in the next video. If you want to make my day a little better, feel free to hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and ring that bell. I make a new art tutorial every week. And if you need an art commission done or want to take my online course for how I do these portraits, links for that are below. Peace.